Oh,
Hello,
okay.
and welcome to Greet the Week. I'm Mona Dunkett, and we are looking today at action is the distraction, and to always be aware of what we are doing, and maybe to think about it a little more. Okay, action is the distraction. So, um, action is it the acts that we do, the deeds, the achievement, the accomplishment? Yes, maybe that, maybe more. But in doing that, how distracted are we? Are we easily interrupted? Is there kind of a breaking point, a pause, an interval, a connection? And then also looking at maybe when we need to have a halt, where we just stop, where we begin to look at what we're doing, what we're thinking, is it effective, ineffective, and how that sometimes the moods we're in, whatever that may accomplish or whatever that may entail, they can play havoc with the thoughts we think, the actions we take, the emotions that we are feeling, especially if we're hungry or tired or angry or lonely. That can kind of set us up. So, in the distraction, have you ever been surprised by something amid your regular routine? And did you stop and notice? Or did you pay attention to that distraction that, came into your regular routine? Did you see it as an interruption? Or did you see it as no big deal? I can get right back to it. So what? Did you laugh about it or cry about it? Or did you assign some kind of meaning to it as if, it was a plot of some kind? Did you just fluff it off? No big deal. Did you, get upset with it, curse about it? Because there's so many ways that we can react to things that happen. And so Dr. William Glasser, the founder of reality therapy and choice theory, suggested that unhappy people lean towards seeing life from the negative point of view. And so they see life already from a negative point of view, but then they try to help or try to fix everyone that offends them or everyone that, doesn't play by the rules as they see it. And that only the main player, which is in the individual themselves, is on the sideline seeing things as happening to them rather than seeing things as happening for them. As we can see, everybody's out to get me or don't know how to handle it. So here is a replica of my understanding of Aristotle's golden mean. And Aristotle's book, which is entitled Aristotle for Everybody, was written by Mortimer J. Adler. And right there in the middle of the book and everything, he put right on the front and right on the very back, he says, no idea in this book is less than 2,400 years old. And I have found that in reading and rereading this book, these insights that are no less than 2,400 years old are as relative as the ones today. And so Aristotle talked about the golden mean. And to him, that was looking at the extremes that we as human beings can go to, that we can have the extreme cowardice, but eventually we can learn to be extremely brave, that we can have the extreme on the negative, such as being a coward or being stingy or abstaining, stubborn, being in control, or learning to going through the moral behaviors of life or handling all the difficulties of life until we can become closer to the extreme on the other end, which is bravery and generosity and freedom and goodness. And so, in looking at all this, I looked here. This is I think it's a tree with little bugs and gnats and things there. It's the gnats of choice. Dr. Glasser saying that it is his theory that everything we do is a choice. And so if it is a choice, how alert are we to the fact that we have choices? And do we continually pause? Do I continually pause and choose what the next action will be? Um, is it beneficial to pause to determine effectively whether where we are, whether we're in middle ground or whether we're jumping in a big puddle of something? That how can we be, because isn't most of life routine? I mean, it pretty much seems like it to a large degree. We live in a cyclical world where there's the seasons and we anticipate them and prepare for them. And most of us have 3 meals a day, if not more than that, some little snacks to go with it. And then also having a work schedule and, just the routines and birthdays and celebrations that come out. It's pretty routine. And in these repetitive days, how conscious are we of the choices that we make? That this is a special holiday, that it has been for most of us, either in the midst of it still, or whether it's the Easter holidays or the anyway, in these repetitive days, how conscious are we of the choices that we make and the thoughts that we think? Do we choose to choose happiness? Or do we just kind of go along with the routine? Even in the midst of the routine, do we choose and stop and think about how generous am I being? How cooperative am I being? Do we choose frustration? If we do choose all that stuff and when it's routine, what about boredom or anger? Do we react to whatever happens because there's something or someone or some mysterious thing that made us do something or think something? And can we choose calm, even amid what may be some calamity? But what if we could? What if? What if? What if? What if we possibly could? What if we could really think about it? What if we could see life events as lessons? Whether those events are wonderful, positive, whether they are not so wonderful and negative, or whether they are just part of the moral routine again, again, again. What if every situation really is an opportunity to explore and we can see whether it's helpful or harmful, to really begin to do that continual self-evaluation? What if we used our creativity to bring resolve for the good of the whole, not just my routine here and now, not just the ordinary? And what if we could go from seeing the tensions of life being against us, as Dr. Glasser said, that not only are those things against us, we have a tendency to blame others, that instead of seeing those things being against us, allow it to strengthen our compassion muscle, where we can have compassion for us as well as having compassion for others and those that offend. So the serendipity change, and this is just a little story about neighbors and their dog and their faithfulness of taking the dog on a walk every morning, walking themselves, for health and happiness and strength and so forth, helping themselves, as well as exercising the dog that's in the house most of the time. And so this dog was very compliant and very easy to get along with and all this kind of stuff. But one day, something happened that had never happened before. And actually, there was coming underneath the tree right beside the house, a squirrel didn't run down the tree. It literally fell out of the tree right in front of the dog. And the dog just went crazy. I mean, he wanted that squirrel, whatever that was, or let's find out what it is. And of course, the squirrel hopped back up the tree, and the dog looked up at it and, wanted to find the squirrel and all that kind of stuff. But the point is that from that day forward, when they walked out of their house, that dog literally took his walker over to where the squirrel had fallen before, and to look and to see and to come up with what does happen, what could happen, what can. He made that change instantly, just like that. And can we begin to do that? And in looking at the questions, not that we were answering them, but maybe something to think about, and looking at working with the 12-step programs, and not only for alcoholics or addictions of any kind, but the 12-step program covers anything that we do that is out of step and is causing us to have difficulties. And so some of the 12 life rewards that we find that we can begin to embrace, that we can begin to live and to begin to understand, is to a large degree based upon the AA 12-step program, is that we can look forward to having hope and faith and courage and peace of mind, or at least it's becoming much more peaceful, and having self-respect, and not only self-respect, but other respect, beginning to respect others and where they're coming from, even if we're not 100% on board, or maybe not at all, on board, but having a respect that each person has infinite worth and value as a human being, to living with a clear conscience and knowing it. And that whenever that conscience, begins to trouble us, learning to do something about it so that it becomes more, less difficult to handle the difficulties of life. And it's realizing that there can be some real friendships, not just the let's do this buddies, but that's a true friendship that we can really relate with one another, that it leads to purposeful living, to love and understanding, not only from our good buddies, but from our family, and the freedom of having a happy life. Well, think you can do it? Well, I think you can. And thank you for being here, and we will stop the recording, and many blessings to all.